Hi, I'm John Tickles, and welcome to Remote RPG's The Christmas Edition! Hey, you know what? It's been too long since we've talked about Megaman on this show. I know what you're saying. I know because I'm right behind you. In your closet. It's messy as shit in here, by the way. Your mother would not be proud. Anyway, I know what you're saying. Megaman isn't remote. Well, yes he friggin' is. I don't remember the last Megaman game to come out. Sure, he's in Smash Brothers, but the Blue Bomber is remote nowadays, my friends. Thankfully, there is another great little RPG that we can use as an excuse to talk about him. After the Mega Man Legends, Battle Network, and the Star Force series, there is still one more Mega Man RPG we haven't taken a look at yet. Mega Man X Command Mission. Released by Capcom in 2004 on the Gamecube and PlayStation, this title was met with pretty average reviews for the most part. I'm inclined to agree. The game doesn't set the bar too high, it's extremely cheesy, even for a Mega Man X game, and the music isn't on par with the series that had some of the best video game music of all time. However, it does have a lot to offer in the other categories, and I think it's a relatively cheap find that you might want to pick up because I think it's slightly underrated. Let's talk plot. Mega Man X Command Mission takes place about 100 years after the events of the other games in the Mega Man X series. A new substance known as Force Metal, which sounds like a Star Wars rock band, is extracted from the debris of a small meteorite. Technology based on the metal revolutionized the field of Reploid engineering. Giga City, an artificial island in the middle of an ocean, is built entirely for the mining and smelting of Force Metal. Everything is well until a band of Reploids arm themselves and launch an assault on the island. Its leader, Epsilon, is branded a maverick by the government, and a Maverick Hunter team is dispatched by Colonel Red Nips, a name which I always read as Red Nips, ew. Send these guys to Giga City in order to liberate it from the grasp of Epsilon's rebellion. Mega Man X, Zero, and a hunter named Shadow travel to the ruins. However, Epsilon's team arrives and knocks Zero away. X has no choice but to escape and gather a resistance team led by Chief R to assist in defeating the minions of the Liberation Army. The story of this game isn't very good at its core. I didn't expect much because this is a Mega Man X game where you just beat the shit out of big robots and people spout nonsense about Reploids and humans and Mavericks and there's just some throwaway philosophy here and there, but it's mostly a game about friendship. Just in case Japan hasn't told us enough about how awesome friendship is. When I say the story is bad, I mean that overall it lacks substance. There's like this war going on and it's really important, but it's not that important because they only sent like 3 Reploids to fix the problem. It's pretty weak for a story. You'll find a lot of plot holes. It's like they took the story out of a Mega Man X game, which, yeah, it makes sense, but this is an RPG. I was hoping for something more coherent and intriguing, and there's just some god-awful storytelling here. The best example of that? Well, I'm gonna have to borrow a clip from my fellow reviewer, thesacredlobo, because he really said it best.
There's a scene early on I feel is a big indicator of this game containing amateur mistakes story-wise. I mean, I just can't believe this scene at all.
You are the Maverick Hunter X, are you not? I am Ale. I am a member of the Resistance.
Okay, Ale, what's going on around here?
Well, if you have made it this far, then you've probably already figured out that the leader of our resistance, Chief R, has been caught by the Rebellion Army.
So, you've come to rescue Chief R?
Yes. That's why I came to the Governor's Precinct. But alone, I will not stand a chance.
Well, I'm here on a reconnaissance mission. Rescuing Chief R might be the best way to get the information I'm after.
Thank you, X. Well then, if you're going to help me... You had better take this ID. With it, you will be able to enter and exit the governor's precinct.
Ale, wait!
There is no time! Leave them to me! Just go!
Ale, look at the condition you're in!
Please! You have to help Chief R!
Ale!
I will not let you pass!
I mean, what purpose does it serve to introduce this character and then have him simply die? Yes, a newly introduced character does have the potential of being written off rather quickly, but you have to make me care about that character in question before you do it. And to make matters worse, the enemies he sacrifices himself to defeat appear to be on a level that I could already handle, making his sacrifice a waste. I mean, why introduce him at all if you're just gonna kill him off immediately, and why do it if it doesn't make any sense?
Check out a link to this channel below. This guy knows his stuff. Anyway, I'm happy to say that, aside from the terrible, cheesy, and straight up bad plot progression, the story does a few things right, and it does do enough to keep you intrigued. First of all, there are actually a couple of really good twists in the game, ones that you may not see coming, but probably will, and when you do see them, you'll be like, ah, so that's what that meant. Secondly, although it is a little cheesy, there are a lot of really effective moments in the game, where characters interact with each other and you feel like it's a genuine moment. I won't spoil much, but there's a particular little interaction with the characters Zero and Spider, and I thought it was really awesome. There's a lot of little neat moments like that in the game. Speaking of the characters, they're all pretty simplistic, but it's fun to see them work together. You have Megaman X, the goody two-shoes leader, Zero, the loner-like badass, but Zero has like some terrible surfer dude accent in this game for some reason. I don't know why they did that.
I can't believe they sent only the 3 of us to infiltrate this huge island. I mean, we're good, but I don't know if we're that good.
Yo, X, we gotta smash those Mavericks to catch some tubular waves, bro! Axel is the energetic, little, bouncing off the walls, annoying guy. Cinnamon is a female healer who I'm almost afraid to Google image because I know there's some distasteful fan art lurking around. So these characters are all pretty simple, and I'm especially disappointed that X and Zero aren't more interesting than they are. Axel I don't know about, I haven't played any of the games with them, but there's just so many cool things that the first few Mega Man X games introduced with Zero and Mega Man X, so they could have played with that. It's just kind of a shame. However, that's not all the characters. There are 3 new characters, Spider, Massimo, and Marino, who are all pretty cool. Spider is a bounty hunter and a loner badass, so you'd think he'd be a little cliche, but he's so smooth talking and swagging, which is like the worst adjective ever, that you just have to like him. He's probably my favorite character in the game, and I'm kinda sad we don't see him in more games. Massimo is this guy in big armor with a bigger inferiority complex. Insert joke about male genitalia compensation. And Marino is your thief with a heart of gold. These characters are again all kind of cliche, right down to the costume choice, but they're all still likable and they play off of each other well, even if there isn't too much dialogue between them. Overall, although they're simplistic, it's a great team, and I hear they're so awesome because they do secret team bonding exercises together. The gameplay is your typical RPG affair, with you running around the overworld, going to different areas, fighting random enemies, beating the boss, and returning to the hub to begin it all again. It's actually a lot like Paper Mario in that way. Speaking of the random battles, there are a crap ton of them in this game, honestly. It feels like such a drag when you have to fight again and again, like every 2 minutes. I don't care how good the battle system is, we'll get into that. But it's just very annoying. I hear that the Gamecube version had a lot more random encounters, but a better load time than the PS2 version, so choose how you waste your time. You've already chosen to watch this lame-ass review, so I guess time doesn't mean much to you anyway. And also, as a little side note, for some reason, the save points in this game are really sporadically placed, with some being very close together, while others are like a freaking hour in between, and that's bullshit. This isn't a handheld. I have to freaking go out. I gotta do my taxes, I gotta feed my family, gotta run a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and this game won't let me save and walk away. It's very poor game design. The hub world, Giga City, is actually pretty big, and here you'll find your shops, collectibles, and a lot of other neat little things. Across your travels, you may also come across some broken down robots, which you can bring back to headquarters and then send them on various missions in order to get some new items. It's a cool little distraction because this is a pretty short game, with 10 chapters and it clocks in around 20 hours if I remember correctly. Let's see, what else? Well, I guess you got your basic equipment set up for your characters, and the force medals, which act a lot like the materia system from Final Fantasy VII, where you can boost your characters, but using too much of it can be detrimental. The difficulty of the game is actually pretty sporadic, with some bosses giving you a hard time, while others are an absolute cakewalk. However, there was never a situation where a good amount of preparation helped you overcome any challenge the game throws your way. That's all about there is to say about general gameplay. There isn't too much to it. It's just your basic RPG, but finally, we get into the battle system, where the game really shines. Battling in Megaman Command Mission is when things really turn up. With a style very similar to Final Fantasy X, minus the whiny teenager, you get 3 party members to battle with, and you can switch them out with the rest of the party at any time without consequence, and you'll need to get used to that. During your turn, you can do normal attacks, sub-attacks, use items, defend, and all that good stuff. Noticeably, using different attacks uses different amounts of weapon energy, and when your weapon energy expires, you can no longer attack. You can save up your weapon energy, and if you have over 50%, you can use something called an action trigger, which is kind of a special attack depending on the character, and you get some pretty sweet animations and powerful attacks. Most of these action triggers make you do something action-oriented, like press a button combination or something, but one of them is very unfair, and that's Cinnamon's. Guess what role Cinnamon has on your team? Just by looking at this picture. No, she is not the tank, you dumbass! Jeez, the stupidity and your dirty closet, get your shit together! No, she is the only healer you have, which is kind of bullshit by the way because she comes in like chapter 4, but before her all you have is these expendable energy sub-tanks, so healing is stressful. Anyway, her action trigger replenishes life. Yay! But it sucks because you have to roll the C-stick super fast to get it. Remember that terrible game from Mario Party 1 when you rolled the joystick and like so many kids had their like hands burned, so like Nintendo had to reimburse a bunch of kids for their damaged little kid hands? Yeah, that's it. They brought it back. Awesome stuff. Thank you. Thank you. It's the only healing move she has as far as I know, so if you want that shit, you better work for it. Dance, monkey, dance. Aside from that, you also have the option of going into hyper mode, where each character has a specific form they take with special attributes. Like, X gets this all-around boost, Spider and Axel get to be invisible, it all depends on the character. To nerf that, these hyper modes are limited to a number of turns, but you can replenish them using certain items. What's really cool about the overall battle system is that every character is needed, and every character is also unique, except for maybe Spider being a lot like Axel. Every character has specific stats, strengths, weaknesses, hyper modes, and most importantly the action triggers. There's just a lot of options and strategy to consider here, especially with the elements, the turn placement, everything. Also, if enemies are at a low enough percentage, you can basically team up on them and blow the ever-loving crap out of them in a scene that's so excessive that Michael Bay would tell you to slow down. However, the problem with the battle system is that you'll rarely get into a quick battle. So, take that in conjunction with an encounter rate that's way too high, this quickly becomes a problem. Overall though, the battle system is probably the best part of the game for how deep and entertaining it is. The graphics in the game are friggin' great in my opinion. First of all, I played the Gamecube version, and everything about it looks awesome, from the colorful cutscenes to the flashy battle graphics. The character designs were especially vibrant and memorable, from the main characters to the enemies and even most of the supporting cast. Although, why does Chief R have like a parrot robot with him? He's a robot and he needs a robot parrot? Why? Why is that a thing? Also, a lot of the locations are pretty forgettable and bland, not to mention maze-like, which doesn't help my mood. Oh well, other than that, the graphics in the game are pretty outstanding in my opinion, and this is a visually appealing game. The music on the other hand isn't that great. There are a couple of songs that will stick in your mind, like the battle themes, but other than that, you won't find yourself humming anything, and that's quite a downer considering that Mega Man X has probably one of the best video game soundtracks of all time, so I was expecting something at least a little better. Conversely, the game's voice acting is actually pretty damn good. Aside from Zero's tubular surfer voice, each of the characters sound distinct and they don't really botch lines. You can tell everyone's trying at least. There are a lot of awkward little moments and lines here or there, but it's not really the voice actor's fault, so good stuff for them. To conclude, Mega Man X Command Mission is a pretty solid title, but with some noticeable flaws. The story is pretty weak, though with some sparks of awesome. The characters are simplistic, but kind of interesting. The gameplay is pretty average, the battle system is pretty great, the graphics are also great, and the music is eh. The game has a special place for me because I played it at such a young age, but it really doesn't keep my interest too much nowadays. Nevertheless, I think it deserves some respect, or at least it shouldn't be totally ignored, like Mega Man is by Capcom nowadays. I don't think this is a title you should hunt down immediately, but if you want something that's kind of like Final Fantasy X's battle system, you like Mega Man and you want a fun RPG, then I think this is a good way to go. In any case, buying a copy shouldn't break the Mega Bank. Like I did, paying for Suikoden 2 for almost $100, and then it came out on PSN for a fifth of the price. Probably even less. I'm John Tickles, and I look forward to our next random encounter.